Things have changed here at Zero to Awesome. No longer will we be your automotive, home improvement, baking, boating, overlanding, slightly creepy, occasionally funny YouTube channel. We are now expanding to be your automotive, home improvement, baking, boating, overlanding, slightly creepy, occasionally funny YouTube channel with an investigative reporting side hustle dedicated to justice. Featuring the sound guy, who still gets offended at every little thing. Hey, you can't say the director, who I think he's baking? And your investigative reporter, the guy who will read anything we put on a teleprompter. And not only will I read whatever they put on the screen, sometimes I leave the toilet seat up on purpose just to see how angry my wife will get. And now she knows about it. Hey, guys, that's not cool. So if you follow our channel, then you know that a while back I hired a contractor to build a big shop and garage for me, and it didn't go so well. So the guy that we hired, he came out about 4 days over the course of 2 months to do work. So he demolished a one-car garage and he took down 2 trees. But over the course of those 2 months, like, he kept hitting us up again and again for money. So we had initially given him like a large deposit, and just demolishing a one-car garage and taking down 2 trees, he should have had plenty of money for that. So whenever he kept asking us for money, I was like, why don't you, add up everything you plan on charging me for, in addition to, the quote you already gave me, and let's figure it out. And he came back with like ridiculous charges. So we're building this garage from scratch, right? Like, he wanted to charge us $3,000 to frame in 2 windows. He wanted to bring in 4.5 semi-trucks worth of fill dirt. And I don't know if he was really going to bring in that much dirt or just charge me for it, because there's nowhere around here for 4.5 semi-trucks worth of dirt to go. The foundation he originally quoted us that was going to cost $18,000 turned into $48,000. So at that point, we cut it off. I was like, either you don't know what you're doing or you're just trying to rip us off. But either way, I don't want you working for us anymore. So we've paid you about $60,000 already. You've done $10,000 worth of work according to your own prices. So give us back $50,000. And he was like, all right, it's not going to be exactly 50. Like, let me go figure it out and I'll get back to you. 2 weeks pass and he goes, you know what? Turns out you owe me money. So let's just call it even. So at that point, we hired an attorney, sent him a demand letter, which he didn't respond to. We filed a lawsuit, which he has still not responded to. More on that later. But what I also did is I started leaving some truthful reviews online. And one of the reviews I left on Google, somebody actually saw. And it turns out they just got ripped off in almost the same exact way that I did. So today we're going to take a trip over there, hear their story, another cautionary story against doing business with this guy.
Hey man, how are you doing?
Good
to see you.
I literally cleaned for 20 hours
Okay.
to get the man out of my house, and now we're going to talk about it.
So we're here today with Neil and Heather, who are unfortunately other victims of Mike Mustafa, whatever name he's going by these days and whatever color his hair may be, because maybe we'll talk about that in a minute too. He's changed the color of his hair. So
it's like an auburn red color or something.
Yeah,
very weird looking.
So his hair was brown, and apparently he dyed his hair red, and he told the people that were dyeing his hair, which have also contacted us, that he wanted his hair first bleached so he would feel clean before the red dye went on. Later, come to find out, he wanted his hair bleached because he had to take a drug test. I don't know where he's getting drug tested, but I don't know if he passed or not. Does bleach pass drug tests? We'll see.
It doesn't change anything.
No? Okay. Good luck with your drug test. Yeah, so Heather's going to be a little bit off camera here, but we got Neil who's going to take us through like how they met Mike, what he was supposed to do for them when things went wrong. And it's surprisingly similar to my story, so take it away.
Yeah, so really this all started with, we both work from home and I don't have an office. And it used to be my daughter's bedroom. She's off to college now. And so that's kind of what started our relationship with Mike, was that we wanted to get my office done. And so Mike came out and we had a conversation with him, and he's got this very personable type of personality that you kind of attach to, you begin to trust very easily. He's very conversational, all the things that you look for in somebody that you want to hire to do work for you. I mean, he puts off a great personality. And we went through we talked about it, and then he left the house kind of with this, with like the goal of giving us a quote. Like that's really where we were at. Like, what's the financials behind it? What's it going to cost us so we can get an idea on, do we want to do more?
Yeah.
Or do we want to do less? You know, all those things. And I think you had a very similar experience, right? Mm-hmm. The one thing that I knew 100% sure that I wanted to get done was the floors and getting those done. And so we were butting up against Christmas. We were about 3 weeks before Christmas, and I did not want to have the house all torn up over the holidays. And so that was one of the other things that we kept mentioning to Mike, is that we don't want to butt up against the holidays. Oh, we'll have it done. It'll only take a week we'll get it all done. So Mike sent us a bid. We told him, since we don't know what the materials are, use contractor grade materials, like what's the lowest. And we know that if we pick higher materials, that the cost will obviously go up as a result of that. And that we'll take care of that, right? But start on the floors, because we know exactly what we need. We know what materials. And so we got a contract through House.
Yeah.
Contract.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's not a contract.
Yeah, they got the same sort of thing. It's like, here's an amount for floors, and click the button and pay me. That's his contracts.
And the one thing that I was very hesitant on was the amount of deposit that he wanted. And we had an issue when we first moved into this house with the guy that did our fence, where he asked for like 60% of the money down. We paid him, and he didn't do the fence and walked away. And so we had our we were very cautious about giving this guy that much money without any sort of collateral or anything like that. Yep. And so he came over one last time before we gave him the money, and decided that he would lower the deposit cost down to $10,000. And it was originally, I believe, $18,000. Okay. And
15.
Was it 15? It was 15,000. So that made me feel a little bit better. It was at least, it was at least a compromise that, hey, give you $10,000 and we'll start there. Yeah. And then let's see what happens. It took a few days before he heard back from Mike after we gave him the $10,000 deposit. But he was always communicative through text, and was, but issues started coming up with him. He had to go take care of this, or he wasn't able to do this, or something else came up. He wasn't able to find the ladder or the equipment that he needed, so he wasn't going to be able to be there, and all this stuff started coming up. And then the final like day of the week, so he's supposed to start on that Monday, the final day of the week, he showed up. Yeah. There was some stuff that happened in between there that I won't go into too much detail on, but he did show up and drop the trailer off, which he later used as a reason for us to give him more money, because he had collateral there. A $30,000 trailer, by the way, it's about $8,000 if I wanted to buy one of those. And he came back and started doing the demo on the floor in the kitchen. They didn't get as far as I was expecting to get, but demoing tile can be a little bit daunting, especially if you don't know what's underneath the tile and how the people, what thin set they used or what mortar they used or any of that stuff. And so it wasn't surprising that they didn't get very far, but they didn't get all of it done in the kitchen. It took them a day. And then both of us are working, and we both opened up our phone and saw a text from Mike. And the text from Mike was, "I need another check from you."
So he needs another check. You've already given him $10,000, but it costs him more than $10,000 to scrape up a floor.
Yes, because later we found out, because he had already bought all the material, all the wood for the floors. And we have hardwood floors, so it's nailed down hardwood floors. So it's actually planked wood, which it's not out of the question or out of the realm of possibility that would cost at least half of that to get the materials. But he had already bought the materials, and he started throwing a guilt trip at us that he had already bought the materials. And so Heather responded and said, "We will give you more money when you drop the wood off."
Okay, seems reasonable.
Yeah, so let's get the materials.
Or show me the invoice.
And then the other thing she did is ask for the invoice for it. So we knew that for sure. Remember, we're hyper cautious because of the previous incident that we had. And he was aware of this incident. He knew it up front. We were very, very open and honest with him that we were going to be hesitant with a lot of this stuff. And Heather responded with that. And this is the moment where I woke up a little bit. Like, I woke up out of that dreamless sleep I was in,
Yeah.
like where I felt like I was sleepwalking a little bit through life while we were dealing with Mike. And I woke up, and his response to her very well written text was no.
Okay.
Then he went to another text and explained that he had already bought all the wood and how stupid he felt, that he trusted us and all this stuff. He started going through like this whole guilt thing with us.
Yeah.
But the no woke me up, because if I was ever in a situation where I was doing work, I don't think I would ever tell my clients no. I would have some sort of context around the no. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So he bought the wood. He wants more money because he bought the wood, but he won't bring it over. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So that's when I was done.
Yeah.
That moment. But we had a tore up kitchen floor.
Yeah.
And a guy that said he already has all this wood.
Yeah. It's kind of similar to the way it worked out for me. Like he had done some work, like the garage was gone. And so like, I've already paid him a bunch of money. Like what am I supposed to do now? He kind of felt trapped. Like, do you have any other options?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you do in that situation? I mean, do you just say, you know what, you've got $10,000 of mine that I'm probably never going to see again? Because let's be honest, it's hard to get $10,000 back from a contractor, which is why we're doing this video, to prevent it from happening in the first place. But you have a tore up floor.
Mm-hmm.
My floor is tore up in my kitchen. It's the most visible room in the house, probably the one that we walk through the most. And it was a little bit emotional to see our kitchen completely tore up. And the end in sight was to go deal with another contractor and get them to risk the $10,000 and start over.
Yep.
Or kind of maybe Mike is legitimate, so there was still this like hope that there was a real guy behind the mask.
Yeah.
And we were still processing all those emotions. And so I told Heather, I said, if we can get him to get the floor done, and let's see what happens. Remember I mentioned all the personal issues that he's got going on. Let's let him work through all that. And then there's nothing that says that we can't come back and do the remainder of the stuff, but let's at least get the floor done.
Just finish one part.
Yeah. And do that. And she talked to him, and they had a really good conversation, and she agreed to give him another $8,000.
Yeah. But didn't he give you guilt trip about that? Like he was getting divorced or something, and his truck didn't run, and
Yeah.
So it wasn't just because you decided to give him more money. It's like he was pressuring you into giving him more money.
Yeah, and remember, we had a tore up kitchen floor, and we wanted some sort of progress. We wanted him to show up on Monday, because remember, he came Friday, demoed the floor, didn't do anything that weekend, and then we wanted him there on Monday. And so he said, well, house takes about a week for me to get the money, and I can't show up without the money, which is another weird thing. Like, you're coming to do labor with the wood that you've already purchased. Where's the money come into play? So he sent us a QuickBooks invoice. It was very official, a QuickBooks invoice for $8,000, and we paid it on that Saturday. And then I think immediately he texted Heather and said, well, I'm not, even QuickBooks is holding the money, and I'm not going to have it.
It was the next day, it was Sunday.
So it was the following day. The following day, which was the Sunday, he told us that he wasn't going to get the money until Wednesday. It wasn't going to show up in his bank account. So he's going to have to go do other work on Monday and Tuesday. I said, okay, I'll see you Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah.
And so Tuesday evening, I sent him a text. I want to get an idea when you're going to be here on Wednesday, so we're prepared.
Yeah.
He responded back, I don't even remember exactly what he said, but I'm not going to be there Wednesday. You still haven't made these decisions after decisions after decisions on all this other stuff that needs to be done. Like the tile in the bathroom and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so
you're just doing the floors.
Yeah, when we're just doing the floors at this point, we're still trying to trust this guy and want to get this work done. But at the same time, all logic is telling me, don't trust this guy. He's out to get you. This is a scam. Something's wrong. So we both took off work to go and find the tile that we wanted. So we spent the 3 or 4 hours at the store, figured out everything, made sure everything was in stock and available. Heather texted him all of the information because he could evidently get a discount on everything. And so we were going to let him order it. Plus, we'd given him 18 grand. We didn't want to give any. We didn't want to go buy all these materials.
Yeah.
So we were going up against the Christmas break and holiday. We had spent a lot of time trying to convince this guy to come over, bring us the wood, show us some sort of progress other than ripping up my floor.
Yeah.
And we were getting nowhere. And really, I'd already decided I was done with this guy messing with my house anymore. But we were about to go to Christmas, and so we talked on our way. We were going out of town for Christmas, and we drove out there. And the whole way we were driving out there, we were kind of quiet about the whole thing. We were trying to just keep it
stewing over the matter.
Yeah, and we had kind of promised ourselves that we weren't going to talk about it over the holidays.
Yeah.
But we're sitting there driving, and we both know each other so well that we know that we're both thinking about this whole situation. And so we started just talking about it. Yeah. And we came to the conclusion before we got to our destination that we were just going to fire the guy. And on that day we got back, we wrote the cease and desist letter to Mike. And then the real Mike came out.
Yeah, he's a character.
Yeah. So not very well thought out responses, very broken language in his messages, and if you don't respond, I don't know what he does in his head, but if you don't respond, he just spins out of control and wants to continue on the conversation.
It's like watching a movie.
Yeah,
just talking to himself.
Just watch those bubbles and get the popcorn because it's about to go down.
Yeah. But the one other thing that we had left of his that was here was he had a few small pieces of equipment, probably roughly $20 or $30 worth of value, in the house still, but he had his trailer here, and so the last time I talked to Mike was coordinating him coming to get the trailer, and I was very cordial with him. Said, "This is I need to know when you're going to be here." And then he responded with the time. I agreed to the time, and he came and I had Heather videotape him being here because if he did anything crazy, I wanted to make sure. Well, the videotape was to prevent him from doing anything crazy, really, not to catch him doing something crazy.
And he was acting so crazy at this point, you even considered calling the police so they could be here when he picked up the trailer, right?
I actually did call the police. I called the police department. They said they would send somebody out if I needed them to. And I think I just decided the taping and videotaping was probably the best option. Yeah. And if something crazy happened, we actually have a sheriff that lives only a few houses down. So worst case, we got somebody that can be there. So no incidents, everything went fine. He pulled the trailer out, and we haven't made one comment to him since that day. We have engaged with a lawyer that wrote a demand letter to him, and he responded to us in a very angry and aggressive way over text.
He responded directly, in a text directly to you, not to the lawyer, or as I'm sure the letter said he should.
Yeah. So that we were in for it, that he was going to take us for all we had and all this. It was just a scare tactic to get us to stop pursuing anything. He wanted us to stop going after him because he knew he was wrong, and he knew that he had done something, and quite honestly, this is criminal behavior at this point. Yeah. Uh-huh. So that's the next step for us is we've gone through all the consumer process with Better Business Bureau. You mentioned that the only thing he really responded to was the Google review.
Yeah.
It's taken everything that we've had to not do a Google review because we really want to do one, but we've been waiting to do that until the Better Business Bureau and some other things had kind of laid out that the demand letter went out and some other things.
And actually on the Google reviews part, so he doesn't like negative Google reviews. In fact, he doesn't like them so much that after I left mine, he went and created a bunch of fake Google accounts to leave positive reviews. So if you go and you look, there's all these, right after I left my review, there's all these new local guides that have left him a 5-star review, and he's responded to saying thank you, stuff like that. But if you go and look, every single one of their profiles is restricted. They were all created at the same time, and there's no way they're real. So if you want to help make sure Mike doesn't do this to anybody else, one thing you can do is go search for MHI My Home Improvement on Google, go to the reviews section, and you'll see my review has floated to the top because of y'all actually. So if you give my review of him a thumbs up, letting other people know that that's an accurate review. That will help. If you go to his fake reviews and report them as junk, that will help get them taken down. But what we're trying to do here is just make sure this doesn't happen again to anybody else.
Yeah, and on the Google review thing, so we have a daughter who is 20 years old that is her life mission now is to support us to take this man down. Our daughter texted us just one day out of the blue and said, "Do you know all his Google reviews are fake?" Like, well, yeah, we know that. She goes, "Well, he just posted a bunch last night." So that night before, and I think I texted you and told you that he had posted like 20 fake 5-star reviews for a contractor all at the exact same time. So magically he got all this work done and all these people responded at the exact same time with 5-star reviews. But they are clearly fake. And to add on to your point, we are going to do our Google review. I think any moment now.
I want to be able to attach it to this video and to the Better Business Bureau complaint because now it's been accepted, so it's accessible under his profile on the BBB website. But also the premise of his defense against us and any contractor in that scenario is that he passed up work to do your work.
Yeah.
But he's posting reviews of work he's done. While he's supposed to be doing our work.
Yeah.
So either they're fake reviews or you're lying, but either way.
Yep. Yeah, you can't be doing all this work and then claiming that you're not getting it done because we fired you.
Yeah. And that was, that was another thing that he did while we were going through that period between him demoing the floors and him never showing up again, where we were hoping that he would show back up and finish the floors, was that he couldn't. We hurt him so bad that he wasn't able to take all this work, but he would, after we would text him about something, it would take him like 3 hours to respond. He would say, because he was on a roof all day. Like, so he's doing all this work, but we're hurting him and he can't do work. Yeah. So it was just all this conflicting information just to put us in a situation where he felt sorry or felt guilty. Or responsible for what. So we kept questioning ourselves.
I found myself doing the same thing. So, we're firing this guy. Now we're sending him a cease and desist or a demand letter, and now we're suing him. Like, is this, I question myself every step of the way, but I mean, the answer specifically with this guy is yes, it's not a good situation, and it's the right thing to do to pursue him and try and make sure it doesn't do it to anybody else.
And finding you sort of reinforced that assumption in our heads that, the questioning sort of ceased.
Yeah.
Once your story was so similar to our story, Me Too action on here. Like, okay, maybe I'm not crazy. Maybe I'm not making it up, and there's not something that I'm missing, because that's what I kept thinking.
So I reached out to you via LinkedIn, and I was just hoping that you wouldn't think I was some crazy guy or some sort of person connected. So I just wrote a very simple message to you, and you responded and said, "Hey, go take a look at this video."
Yep.
Which I was like, "Where was this video at 3-4 weeks ago in my life?" So if I would have had the video 3 or 4 weeks ago, because his trailer that was sitting outside is in your video.
Yep. Same trailer.
Yep. So, but it wasn't there, and now I'm out. So you're responsible for the $18,000 because I wasn't aware of the video. Joking.
Well, no. See, funny you mentioned that. So I hear the street value of this is much more than $18,000, but I brought y'all some Z2A swag. The only problem is when you fail at something on our channel, you have to drink a pickle beer. So the koozies I brought you have pickle beers in them.
Okay.
Oh, you can give mine to him.
Thank you, first of all, most importantly, for validating the insecurities that you have about yourself during this process, because you really do question your humanity.
Humanity, sanity, it's a big emotional toll.
Yeah, because everything that, like, if truly down to the core, you want to trust, if you're a trusting person just by nature, you're going to get taken advantage of. Yeah. It's just going to happen. It's just to what level that you get taken advantage of. But you can still be a human and have all that humanity if you follow some very simple processes while you're dealing with the contractor. Mm-hmm. And it's don't let the process prevent you from following through with the process. And what I mean by that is don't get caught up in in the trouble that it's going to take, or the fact that your project may be pushed back 2 weeks, because you need to follow up with multiple contractors and get multiple bids. And don't assume that the person that is the nicest and most willing and can do it now and start now is actually the best thing. And I'm not a lawyer. I don't know all the details behind contracting, but there are limits to like deposits and things like that. So obviously check with your local state on that type of stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of people who've watched our videos just say don't give the guy any money up front. Like if they can't get a line of credit or anything like that, maybe they just shouldn't be doing the work. Like if Mike can't afford $5,000 worth of wood floors and then let you pay a week or two later, there's probably something else going on there. Like this guy, it's pretty clear he's got cash flow issues, and he's just getting as much as he can to like keep himself afloat.
Yeah. Let's be very, very clear. After everything that we've gone through and talking to you, this guy was setting up. This was a scam from the beginning. Like there is no doubt in my mind the guy had no intent of actually finishing any of the work that he promised. He was going to do as little work as he could to get more money from us, which is evidenced by the first day of work that he did, where he demoed the floor up and then immediately asked for more money.
Yep.
But all this wouldn't happen if he was a legitimate contractor in the first place, right?
Yeah. No.
So that's the lesson, right? Is make sure you have a legitimate contractor. And how do you do that? Is you can check anybody's bond and insurance number, I believe, online, and validate that they're an official company.
Also, just ask around. Like the way we found the contractor that did do a good job for us is because he knew somebody that we knew, and so use people that are known to family or friends.
The good news is our floors are done. As a matter of fact, they were done like 30 minutes before you walked over here. Drove up. So it's been a long process to get floors done. It was worth the wait, but it's been a long process. It's a week to acclimate. It's a week. Then they come and they set the flooring down, and basically they actually lay the floor down and nail it down and everything. But then they have to let it sit another week. To make sure that there's no movement or settling, let all that happen. And then they come and they do the filler and they stain it, and that's another process. And then that takes a week before you can move all your furniture in. So it's a month-long commitment to get it done. And we were doing the kitchen. And so this whole idea that we were going to have this done in just a few weeks, all this work was going to be done, was just another evidence more that it was a scam from the beginning. Or he had no idea what he was doing.
It was a 2-day job.
2-day job.
What's that?
He said 8 different times, I counted them, that it was a 2-day job. The flooring alone is just a 2-day job.
Yeah, and it's clearly not a 2-day job.
Yeah.
I mean, and so the company that came out and did it, it's Flooring International here in Flower Mound. That they've been amazing. They've been great. Shout out to Peter and Katie, who've been amazing through this process, and Colton and Jake, the installers, have been fantastic.
So I think that's it for today, but thank you, Neil and Heather, for telling your story, and watch out for contractors. Don't give them a bunch of money up front, and don't be us, because you're going to be stuck with pickle beers.
I'll go for pickle juice.
She'll drink pickle juice.
I'll open this up and drink it. I deserve it, right?
That was it.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Well, you got the tropical pickle beer, so it's even worse than usual.
Oh, it's vacation pickle.
See that face? I deserved it.